Ambassador Diane Miller stared at her reflection in the polished surface of the conference table. Her eyes looked tired, but her resolve had never been stronger. After 15 years as Earth's chief diplomat to the Galactic Confederation, today would be her final appearance before the Alien Council. Around her sat the small team of humans who had worked alongside her in this endless, fruitless quest for acceptance. Commander Frank Bennett, with his military posture and watchful eyes, sat to her right. Dr. Alan Wright, whose brilliant mind had tried to bridge the biological gap between humans and the dozens of alien species, fidgeted with a datapad to her left. The three of them had become family during their long mission. United by shared frustration and determination, the chamber doors slid open with a soft hiss. 7 representatives of the Confederation's ruling species filed in, their varied anatomies making the specially designed chairs creak and shift. Diane recognized them all. The tall, thin Zalaxians with their 4 arms and silver skin. The bulbous Trellians whose translucent bodies pulsed with colored light. The insectoid Vracs who communicated through clicks and pheromones. All powerful, all ancient, and all thoroughly convinced of humanity's inferiority. Ambassador Miller, began High Minister Zephyr of the Zalaxians, his voice mechanically translated to English. We understand you have requested this special session. The Confederation is very busy with matters of galactic importance, so please be brief. Diane stood, straightening the dark blue uniform that represented United Earth. High Ministers, I will indeed be brief. For 50 years, humanity has petitioned to join the Galactic Confederation. For 50 years, we have been told we are not ready. We have met every stated requirement, only to have new ones created. We have shared our knowledge, adapted our technology, and demonstrated our peaceful intentions. Yet the answer remains the same. She paused, looking each alien representative in what passed for their eyes. Today I am not here to petition. I am here to inform you that as of 0800 hours Earth Standard Time, humanity has unanimously voted to withdraw all applications for Confederation membership and to cease diplomatic relations. The chamber filled with the musical tones of Trellian laughter. Ambassador, said their representative, lights pulsing purple with amusement. Surely, this is one of your species' emotional reactions. You cannot survive in this galaxy without our protection. Commander Bennett leaned forward slightly. We've managed for thousands of years before we knew you existed. I think we'll manage again. High Minister Zethvar raised a slender hand. Commander, your species has barely achieved interplanetary travel. You have no quantum communication capabilities. Your biological evolution is still in its primitive stages. The galaxy is filled with dangers you cannot comprehend. Dr. Wright spoke up, his voice calm and measured. With respect, Minister, we comprehend more than you realize. We have studied the Confederation extensively. You need client species for resources and labor. You need our water-rich planet as a strategic location. What you don't need are equals. The Vrax representative clicked rapidly, the translator conveying irritation. Humans are unpredictable and dangerous. Your emotions cloud your judgment. Your lifespans are too short for a proper perspective. These are not insults but biological facts. Diane placed a small device on the table. Our decision is final. This contains formal notification of our withdrawal and the termination codes for all technology sharing protocols. Earth space is now closed to Confederation vessels. Any unauthorized entry will be considered hostile. This is absurd, Zethvar said, his silver skin flushing darker with agitation. You cannot simply withdraw from galactic society. Watch us, Diane replied. She gathered her materials and nodded to her colleagues. Humanity joined this conversation in good faith. We are leaving it the same way. Goodbye. The human delegation walked out, ignoring the raised voices behind them. In the transport vessel returning to Earth, the three sat in contemplative silence until they reached orbit. The blue-green planet below them seemed peaceful from this distance, though Diane knew it buzzed with activity. Every nation, every leader, every research facility was now moving forward with Project Phoenix, the classified initiative that had been their true focus for the past decade. "Do you think they suspect anything?" Frank asked, breaking the silence. Alan shook his head. "They're too convinced of our inferiority. They dismissed my research into human neurological patterns as primitive. They never even looked at the quantum readings." Diane smiled for the first time in months. Their loss. "How are the preparations?" "Going on schedule," Frank replied. "The deep space habitats are ready. The Venus terraforming project has accelerated. Mars colony expansion is complete. The Jupiter and Saturn stations are fully operational." "And the ships?" Diane asked. "The fleet will be ready in 18 months, Frank said. "Enough to transport the entire population if necessary." Alan's eyes gleamed with excitement. "My team made a breakthrough last week. We can now sustain the quantum field independently of human neural networks. The simulations show we could maintain it across an entire star system." Diane looked down at Earth again. 11 billion people, all working together for the first time in human history. All because a bunch of arrogant aliens couldn't see what was right in front of them. Back in the Confederation chamber, Zethvar addressed his fellow ministers. "After the humans had left, a minor inconvenience. They will come crawling back when they realize how isolated they are. Their system has few resources we cannot obtain elsewhere." "Should we place monitoring stations at the edge of their system?" asked the Trillian representative. "Why waste the resources?" Zethvar replied, "They have nowhere to go and nothing. Let them play at independence for a while. The galaxy will continue as it has for millennia, with or without humans." The Vrax made a dismissive clicking sound. They were never going to fit into the proper order anyway. Too unpredictable. Too ambitious. Better they remove themselves than we have to do it later. None of the ministers noticed the small human maid. Device Diane had left continuing to record their conversation. None of them suspected that in the coming years, they would desperately wish they had paid more attention to the supposedly primitive species that had just walked away, and none of them could possibly imagine that by the time they realized their mistake, it would already be too late. 5 years passed since humanity's withdrawal from galactic affairs. Senior Inspector Kralthan of the Confederation Security Division stared at the holographic display showing Earth's solar system. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The system, that once buzzed with communication signals, spacecraft movements, and energy signatures, had gone completely silent over the past 6 months. No transmissions. No ship activity, nothing. "Play the last recorded message again," Kralthan ordered. His gray skin wrinkled with concern as the recording began. A human news broadcast appeared. The female announcer spoke calmly about weather patterns before the signal abruptly cut out mid-sentence. That was it. The last human communication detected. By Confederation monitoring stations. Theories? Kralthan asked the small team assembled in his office. Science Officer Patricia Russell stepped forward. As one of the few humans who had chosen to remain with the Confederation years ago, her insights were valuable now. Her blonde hair was cut short in the Confederation style, and she wore the standard blue uniform of the Science Division. "Sir, there are several possibilities. Natural disaster, plague, war, or technological failure. Or they've hidden themselves somehow," suggested analyst Greg Howard. His human appearance was similar to Patricia's, but his eyes held a sharpness she had never quite trusted. He had joined the Confederation only months after humanity's withdrawal, claiming to disagree with Earth's decision. Kralthan's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among his species. "The Confederation Council has authorized an expedition. We leave tomorrow to investigate." The journey to Earth took 3 days aboard the Confederation vessel Astral Seeker. Patricia spent most of that time reviewing data about her former home. The abrupt cessation of all signals was unprecedented. Even during humanity's worst wars, communications had never completely stopped. Greg Howard often appeared at her workstation, asking questions about Earth's defense systems and population centers. His interest seemed excessive, even for an analyst. "Were you stationed on Earth before joining the Confederation?" Patricia asked him during one such visit. Briefly, he replied. North American region, nothing important. Patricia nodded, noting how he avoided her eyes. Something about Greg felt off, but she couldn't place it. The astral seeker entered the solar system cautiously. Carlton ordered long-range scans first. The results were baffling. No debris fields indicating conflict, reported the sensor officer. Orbital stations appear intact but powered down. No radiation spikes suggesting nuclear war. As they approached Earth, the mystery deepened. The planet looked pristine from orbit blue oceans, green and brown landmasses, white cloud patterns, but there were no lights on the night side. Number. Energy signatures, no movement. Prepare a shuttle, Carlton ordered. Science Officer Russell, Analyst Howard, you'll accompany me to the surface. They landed in an area once known as Central Park in New York City. The park was immaculate, trees and grass growing freely. But the surrounding city stood empty. Buildings were intact, streets clean, but devoid of people or animals. It's like everyone just left, Patricia whispered, her voice echoing slightly. In the empty streets, Greg walked ahead, seemingly unsurprised by the abandonment. The subway entrances are sealed, he noted, pointing to concrete barriers covering what once were stairways underground. Carlton used a scanner to analyze the environment. No biological contaminants detected, no radiation, no signs of struggle or panic. He turned slowly, all four eyes wide open. This was planned, organized. They visited 6 more major cities across different continents. The story was the same. Everywhere. Everything was intact but empty, as if 11 billion humans had simply decided to leave one day. Personal belongings were gone. Vehicles were missing. Government buildings stood open but cleared of sensitive materials. In what was once the United Nations headquarters, they found a single data crystal on the main assembly podium. Carlton inserted it into his reader. A hologram appeared. Ambassador Diane Miller, the human who had delivered their withdrawal notice 5 years earlier. To whoever finds this message, she began, humanity has chosen to depart. Our home system served us well, but it is time for us to move on. We leave this planet as we found it, clean and full of life. We ask that you do the same. Earth is now a protected preserve. Please respect our wishes in this matter. The message ended. No explanation of where they went or how 11 billion people had disappeared without a trace? Impossible, Carlton muttered. They had no deep space capabilities, no colony worlds. Nowhere to go. Patricia walked to a window overlooking the empty city. We underestimated them, she said quietly. The Confederation always did. That night, while Carlton and the others slept in the shuttle, Greg Howard slipped away. He moved with purpose through the abandoned streets until he reached a nondescript building. Placing his hand on a hidden scanner, a concealed door opened. Inside, advanced communication equipment hummed to life at his touch. Greg quickly typed a message. Inspection team as expected. They suspect nothing. Plan Phoenix proceeding on schedule. The reply came moments later. Well done. Maintain your cover. Admiral Morgan sends regards. Greg smiled as he erased all evidence of the exchange. The Confederation thought humanity had nowhere to go, because they couldn't imagine humans had discovered what they truly were, species with a unique connection to the quantum fabric of reality itself. He returned to the shuttle before dawn, unnoticed by the others. As the inspection team prepared to depart Earth the next day, Patricia watched Greg carefully. Something in his expression when he looked at the empty planet seemed less like confusion and more like pride. The astral seeker departed the solar system, its crew puzzled by humanity's disappearance. Carlton's report to the Confederation Council stated only facts. Earth abandoned, no signs of disaster. Deliberate departure to unknown destination. The Council dismissed the mystery as unimportant. If humans wish to vanish, that is their prerogative, High Minister Zethvar declared. Their primitive world holds little value. Mark their system as abandoned and focus on matters of true galactic importance. No one noticed the first subtle fluctuations in the quantum communication network that very same day. No one connected them to the absence of humans, not yet. But they would, and by then it would be too late. 10 years after humanity's departure, the Galactic Confederation faced a crisis unlike any in its 50,000-year history. Chief Engineer Vincent Scott watched from his hidden observation post as the Confederation cruiser drifted powerless. In space, it was the third ship this week to suffer catastrophic system failures near this sector. From his small stealth vessel, Vincent recorded every detail of the alien crew's frantic attempts to restore power. Another quantum core collapse, he noted into his secure recorder. Just like the others. Vincent was one of 50 human observers scattered throughout Confederation space. Their mission, document the slowly unfolding disaster that humanity had predicted years ago. He checked his own ship systems, powered by human-modified technology that didn't rely on the failing quantum network, across the galaxy on Confederation homeworld SciFiPrime. Dr. Samantha Collins worked quietly in her laboratory. As one of the few humans who had genuinely stayed behind when Earth was abandoned, she had spent the past decade rising through the ranks of the Confederation's Science Division. Her research focused on the mysterious quantum anomalies that first appeared shortly after humanity's departure. Dr. Collins, urgent message from the High Council, her assistant said. Entering the lab with a worried expression, Samantha nodded and activated her communication panel. The stern face of High Minister Zethvar appeared. Once arrogant and dismissive, the Zalaxian leader now looked haggard, his silver skin dulled with stress. The central quantum hub on Trellian has collapsed, he said without greeting. 42 systems have lost all long-range communications. The Vrax defense fleet is stranded in deep space. We need answers, Doctor. Samantha kept her expression neutral. Minister, I've submitted 17 reports on the quantum degradation. My team has been warning about this for years. Your theories were considered improbable, Zethvar admitted reluctantly. But the Council is now prepared to listen. You suggested a connection to the human departure. Explain. Samantha pulled up a series of complex charts on her screen. These show quantum field stability measurements across the galaxy for the past 30 years. Notice the pattern was steady. For decades, then began declining exactly when humanity left. The effect was subtle at first, but has accelerated. My hypothesis is that human neural patterns somehow generated a stabilizing effect on quantum fields. Zethvar's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible. Humans were primitive biological entities. Perhaps our definition of primitive was flawed, Samantha replied carefully. There's evidence in ancient Confederation archives about guardian species with unique quantum properties. References were fragmented, but they described beings whose mere presence maintained cosmic balance. You believe humans were these guardians? Preposterous. Is it? Samantha challenged. Humanity's neural structure is unique among all known species. We dismissed it as random evolution, but what if it served a specific cosmic function? The minister was silent for a long moment. The council is convening an emergency session. Your presence is required. After the call ended, Samantha locked her laboratory and activated a hidden device beneath her workstation. Unlike Vincent, she wasn't an official observer. Her decision to stay behind had been personal, driven by scientific curiosity. But she maintained occasional contact with humanity through a quantum-encrypted channel that bypassed Confederation networks. They're finally asking the right questions, she reported. How far has Project Phoenix progressed? The reply came hours later. Final stages. Humanity is ready. Decision point approaches. Your recommendation? Samantha considered carefully. The Confederation had been arrogant and dismissive of humans, true. But billions of innocent beings would suffer if their civilization collapsed. Did they deserve that fate for the mistakes of their leaders? Meanwhile, Vincent Scott received new orders from Admiral Lisa Morgan, commander of the Hidden Human Fleet. Proceed to Observation Point Delta, record the quantum cascade effect in the Orion Arm, maintain stealth protocols. Vincent piloted his small craft through the increasingly unstable regions of space. Confederation ships he passed showed signs of systems failure. Some drifted powerless. Others moved erratically as their navigation systems malfunctioned. Emergency beacons flashed everywhere. He arrived at Observation Point Delta, a space station hidden within an asteroid field. Inside, 20 human scientists monitored the quantum deterioration across hundreds of star systems. The main display showed alarming red patterns spreading across the galactic map. "It's happening faster than we predicted," said the station chief. 40% of Confederation systems are experiencing critical failures. Their faster-than-light network is collapsing. Planets are being cut off from each other. Vincent studied the data. "And our systems?" "Stable. The quantum shields are holding. All human colonies and fleets report normal operations." On SciFiPrime, Samantha stood before the full Confederation Council. Representatives from 30 species watched her with a mixture of fear, anger, and desperate hope. She had spent the past week explaining her research to increasingly panicked officials. "To summarize," she concluded, "humanity generated a quantum field that stabilized certain physical laws in nearby space. As we expanded into the galaxy, that field expanded with us. When we left, the effect began to dissipate. The Confederation built its technology on physics that were artificially stabilized by human presence. Without us, those technologies are failing. Where did they go?" demanded the Trellian representative. "We must find them." "I don't know," Samantha lied. "But attempting to force their return would be unwise. If my theory is correct, humans realized their importance and chose to remove themselves for a reason." High Minister Zethvar rose from his seat. "The Confederation hereby authorizes unlimited resources to locate humanity. We offer full membership, leadership positions, whatever they want. Find them before it's too late." Samantha nodded respectfully while thinking of the secure message she would send that night. The Confederation had dismissed humanity as worthless, only to discover they were essential. The irony wasn't lost on her. In his observation post, Vincent received a direct communication from Admiral Morgan. "Phase 3 is complete. The galaxy has recognized its dependence. Return to Alpha Base for final preparations." As he set course for the hidden human stronghold in what used to be the Oort cloud of Earth's solar system, Vincent looked back at the struggling Confederation ships. The mighty galactic empire that had once looked down on humanity now faced extinction because humans had simply walked away. Both Samantha and Vincent knew what the Confederation did not. Humanity hadn't just left, they had evolved. Project Phoenix wasn't just an evacuation plan, it was a transformation. And soon, very soon, they would return to a galaxy that finally understood their true nature. By then, the balance of power would be irreversibly changed, and it was already too late for the Confederation to adapt. 20 years had passed since humanity vanished from Earth. The Galactic Confederation was now in full crisis. Nearly half of all Confederation systems suffered from technological collapse. Quantum communications failed regularly. Ships became stranded between stars. Entire planets lost power as their energy cores destabilized. Admiral Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix, flagship of the human fleet. At 58, her hair had gone mostly gray, but her blue eyes remained sharp and focused. The massive viewscreen showed a real-time map of the galaxy with red indicators spreading like a disease across Confederation space. "Status report," she ordered. Her executive officer stepped forward. "Project Phoenix is complete, Admiral. All human colonies are self-sufficient. The quantum shields are stable. Our fleet is at full strength. The transformation process has reached 98% completion across the population." Lisa nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. "And the rebellion sectors?" "Growing rapidly. 17 formerly subjugated species have declared independence from the Confederation. Another 32 are in open protest. Diplomat Brooks reports they are ready to meet with us." Elsewhere in the hidden fleet, Diplomat Ethan Brooks prepared for the most important meeting of his career. His shuttle departed from the human colony ship Artemis, heading toward neutral space. As the Diplomatic Corps' senior representative, Ethan had spent the last 5 years secretly contacting other species who had suffered under Confederation rule. The meeting location was a small space station constructed specifically for this purpose. Hidden in the dust clouds of a young star system, representatives from 23 species waited in the main chamber. Some were tall and elegant like the Ashanti, whose crystalline bodies sparkled in the light. Others were small and dense like the Gorvan, whose rocky skin protected them from harsh environments. All shared one thing in common. They had been deemed inferior by the Confederation. "Welcome," Ethan said as he entered. "Thank you for taking the risk to come here." The Ashanti representative stepped forward, her crystal form shifting colors. "The rumors say humans know why the Confederation is failing." "Is this true?" Ethan nodded. "We do. And we know how to stop the collapse if we choose to." A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. The Gorvan representative slammed a stone fist on the table. "They denied us technology for centuries, called us too primitive to understand. Now their mighty empire crumbles while we endure. Let them fall. Revenge is tempting," Ethan acknowledged. "But we propose a different path. Not saving the Confederation, but replacing it with something better, an alliance of equals." For the next several hours, Ethan outlined humanity's proposal. A new galactic order based on mutual respect and shared governance. Technology exchanges without artificial restrictions. Freedom for all member species to develop their own path. "But why should we trust humans?" asked a Serpentine delegate. "You disappeared for 20 years. You clearly have power we don't understand." Fair question," Ethan replied. "Humanity left because we discovered our true nature and needed time to master it. We generate a quantum field that stabilizes certain physical laws. The Confederation built their technology on those stable laws without understanding the source. When we left, that stability began to fade. You knew this would happen?" The Ashanti asked. "We suspected. We needed to confirm it and to develop independently without Confederation interference. We chose to walk away rather than be exploited once our nature was discovered." Back on the Phoenix, Admiral Morgan received an urgent communication from Dr. Samantha Collins, still embedded in the Confederation. "They've found ancient records," Samantha reported, her holographic image flickering with interference. "The original Confederation founders knew about guardian species. They deliberately sought out and integrated humans thousands of years ago, during Earth's early civilizations. Small groups were taken and placed throughout the galaxy to stabilize the quantum network. Those humans eventually died out or lost their abilities through genetic dilution. When Earth developed independently and reached space, the Confederation recognized our quantum signature but kept the truth hidden." Lisa's expression darkened. "So they knew all along what we were. They planned to harvest us again once we joined, spreading humans throughout their empire like batteries." "Yes," Samantha confirmed, "and they're desperate now. They're preparing a fleet to find and capture any humans they can. Their scientists believe even a few thousand humans could stabilize their core systems." "How much time do we have?" "A month. Maybe less. Their ships are barely functional, but they're stripping everything to make this work." After the communication ended, Lisa contacted Ethan at the diplomatic meeting. "We need to accelerate the timeline. The Confederation is coming. For us." Ethan looked around at the delegates who had been cautiously receptive to the alliance proposal. "We'll need to show them proof of our capabilities. Words aren't enough anymore." "Agreed." "Bring them to Sanctuary. It's time they saw what humanity has become." 2 days later, representatives from all 23 species arrived at the human colony called Sanctuary. Hidden inside a nebula that scrambled Confederation sensors, it was humanity's greatest achievement. A vast space habitat housed 10 million humans. But these were not the humans of 20 years ago. As the alien delegates toured the facility, they witnessed humans working directly with quantum energy, manipulating it with their minds. Children practiced creating and dissolving quantum fields in special training areas. Scientists demonstrated technology that functioned perfectly despite the galaxy-wide failures. "We've evolved," Ethan explained to the amazed delegates. Project Phoenix was named for the mythical bird that rises from its own ashes. "We used our time away to accelerate our natural development." Every human now consciously controls the quantum field they generate. The Ashanti representative watched a young human girl materialize a complex three-dimensional structure from pure energy. With this power, you could dominate the galaxy. Why offer alliance instead? Because domination was never our goal, Ethan replied. We want partners, not subjects. The Confederation made that mistake. We won't repeat it. As the tour concluded, an emergency alert sounded. Admiral Morgan's voice came over the communication system. Confederation fleet detected. 47 ships on approach vector. They've found us. The delegates looked to Ethan in alarm. He remained calm. Please proceed to the observation deck. You'll want to witness this. On the command deck, Lisa Morgan issued orders calmly. Number. Offensive measures, defensive shields only. Let them come within communication range. The Confederation fleet appeared at the edge of the nebula, weapons powered despite their fluctuating energy signatures. High Minister Zethvar's face appeared on the main screen, his once proud features now desperate. Return with us immediately, he demanded. The Confederation requires your biological function. Compensation will be discussed after the crisis is resolved. Lisa stepped forward. You still don't understand, Minister. We are not yours to command. We never were. You have no choice, Zethvar snarled. Surrender or be taken by force. Lisa looked at her executive officer and nodded. Throughout Sanctuary, millions of humans focused their minds together. A wave of quantum energy expanded outward, perfectly controlled and directed. It washed over the Confederation fleet and suddenly their failing system stabilized. This is but a taste of what's possible, Lisa told the astonished minister. Humanity is prepared to help heal the galaxy, but as equals, not as slaves. The old Confederation is over. A new alliance is forming. You're welcome to join it, but the terms are non-negotiable. On the observation deck, the alien delegates watched in awe as the human quantum field visibly rippled through space, temporarily restoring the Confederation ships to full power. The demonstration made one thing abundantly clear: humanity had not just walked away, they had transcended. And for those who had dismissed them as primitive and worthless, it was indeed far too late to regain the advantage they had so carelessly thrown away. 25 years after humanity's departure from Earth, the galaxy had transformed. The old Galactic Confederation existed in name only, its once mighty empire reduced to a handful of core systems. In its place, the new Galactic Alliance flourished, uniting over 100 species in mutual cooperation and respect. Director Claire Powell stood at the window of the Alliance's newly completed headquarters, watching ships from dozens of worlds dock at the massive space station. At 45, Claire had spent half her life working toward this moment. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her brown eyes reflected the starlight as she observed the historic gathering. Final security checks are complete, reported Security Chief Peter Nelson, joining her at the window. All delegation leaders have arrived safely, Claire nodded. Any word from the Confederation representatives? They're here, Peter confirmed. Zethvar himself, along with delegates from the 5 remaining loyalist species. They don't look happy to be seated in the same chamber as their former subjects. They'll adapt, Claire said. They don't have much choice anymore. The 2 humans made their way to the Grand Chamber, where representatives from all Alliance worlds waited. The room had been designed without hierarchy, a circular space where all seats were equal distance from the center. No raised platforms, no special thrones for powerful species. Equality was built into the very architecture. Claire took her position and activated the central communication system. Representatives of the Galactic Alliance, welcome to our first formal assembly. Today marks the beginning of a new era of cooperation and mutual respect among all sentient species. Her gaze fell on the Confederation delegation, where High Minister Zethvar sat stiffly in his seat, his once bright silver skin now dull with age and stress. The past 5 years had been difficult for the former rulers as they watched their empire crumble while the Alliance grew stronger. As our first act, Claire continued, we will vote on the Quantum Stabilization Treaty. This agreement will formalize humanity's commitment to maintaining the quantum fields necessary for advanced technology throughout Alliance space. A representative from the Ashanti rose, her crystalline form catching the light. The treaty draft states that human personnel will be stationed on each member world to provide local stabilization. How can we be certain these humans won't exert undue influence on our societies? It was a fair question, one that acknowledged the power humanity now held. Claire gestured to Peter, who activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. This is a human quantum generator, Peter explained as the image showed a small device. Developed over the past 5 years, these devices can store and project the stabilizing field that humans naturally produce. Each member world will receive generators appropriate to their population and technological needs. Human technicians will visit quarterly for maintenance, but no permanent human presence is required unless specifically requested. Murmurs of approval spread through the chamber. The Ashanti representative nodded in satisfaction and returned to her seat. The full treaty also includes knowledge-sharing protocols, Claire added. No species will be denied technology based on arbitrary evolutionary or cultural metrics as was Confederation policy. All members have equal access with the only restrictions being safety-based. From his seat, Zethvar finally spoke, his voice carrying the weight of his fallen empire. And what of the Confederation worlds that refuse to join your alliance? Will you withhold the quantum stabilization technology as punishment? Claire met his four-eyed gaze steadily. No, Minister. Unlike the Confederation, we don't believe in using technology as a means of control. Non-alliance worlds will be provided, with basic stabilizers sufficient for essential services. The choice to join us remains yours, with no coercion. The minister's expression revealed his surprise. He had expected revenge, not mercy. Many humans had advocated for exactly that, let the former oppressors suffer as they had made others suffer. But Claire and the human leadership had chosen a different path. The voting proceeded smoothly, with the treaty approved by overwhelming majority. Only the Confederation delegation abstained. As the session concluded, Claire approached Zethvar privately. You could have destroyed us, the former High Minister said quietly. When we sent our fleet to capture your people, you had the power to disable our ships permanently. Why didn't you? Claire studied the aged alien, remembering the recordings of his dismissive attitude toward humanity decades earlier. Because domination was never our goal, we just wanted to be treated as equals. And now you hold the power that we once did, Zethvar observed. The difference is how we choose to use it, Claire replied. Your Confederation saw power as something to hoard. We see it as something to share. Later that evening, as the diplomatic reception wound down, Claire and Peter stood on the observation deck, looking out at the galaxy they had helped reshape. Did you ever imagine we'd end up here when we left Earth? Peter asked. Claire smiled. Honestly? No, we knew we needed to escape to develop on our own terms. But this, she gestured to the diverse gathering of species mingling peacefully behind them, this exceeded even our highest hopes. Do you think we should have stayed? Fought for our place in the Confederation instead of walking away? Claire considered the question seriously. If we had stayed, we would have been exploited once they discovered our quantum abilities. Walking away forced us to rely on ourselves, to discover our true potential without interference. And it showed the galaxy what happens when you dismiss an entire species as worthless. Below them on the main deck, human children played with the offspring of a dozen different species. Unlike their parents, these children had never known the old divisions. To them, the diversity of the Alliance was natural, expected. The quantum integration teams report the last of the major systems are stabilized, Peter said, checking his communication device. Even the deepest Confederation worlds now have basic functionality restored, Claire nodded. And Earth? Still untouched, as we promised. The ecosystem is thriving without human intervention. The preservation teams report that wildlife has reclaimed many urban areas. We should visit, Claire suggested. Not to stay, but to remember where we came from. As they talked, Dr. Samantha Collins approached, now serving as the Alliance Science Director after her years undercover in the Confederation. "The quantum field measurements are fascinating," she said, joining their conversation. "Humanity's collective field has grown stronger as we've evolved, not weaker as we dispersed. The models suggest we're still changing, still developing new abilities. For the better, I hope," Claire said. "I believe so," Samantha replied. "The children born in the last decade show enhanced quantum sensitivity. They're learning to manipulate energy in ways we never imagined possible." The three humans watched as a young girl across the room created a small ball of light between her hands, shaping it into complex patterns to entertain her alien friends. The casual display of ability that would have seemed the miraculous 25 years ago was now commonplace. Humanity walked away, Peter mused, and found itself in the process. "And the galaxy learned a valuable lesson," Claire added. "Never underestimate a species based on your own limited perspective." By the time the Confederation realized what we truly were, it was already too late for them to adapt. But not too late for the rest of us to build something better together. Outside the viewport, ships from dozens of worlds moved in harmony around the Alliance station. The quantum field generated by humanity rippled invisibly through space, stabilizing not just technology but the very foundations of a new galactic society, one built not on domination, but on respect, cooperation, and the shared potential of all sentient beings.